You wrote to me once, listing the 4 chief virtues: temperance, wisdom, fortitude, and justice. As I read the list, I knew I had none of them. But I have other virtues, Father. Ambition. That can be a virtue when it drives us to excel. Resourcefulness. Courage. Perhaps not on the battlefield, but there are many forms of courage, Father. And devotion to my family, to you, Father. Caesar. I'm only having a bit of fun there, guys. Just testing out the microphone here. So that'd be a fun little quiz for the first episode of the Real Chat podcast. If anyone has any idea, what that quote was from, what film, please let us know. I mean, like I said, that'd be a fun little quiz. Anyway, I digress. Welcome to the first episode of the Real Chat podcast. It is very much a pilot episode as we sort of find our footing with sort of nailing down a good format for the show. Essentially, every week we're going to be releasing a podcast discussing a certain topic related to film and TV, different aspects of the industry. And this week, just to sort of go in, just find our feet a wee bit, we're just talking about what we've been watching recently. So, anyway, guys, enough from me. Welcome to the Real Chat podcast, the first pilot episode. Hope you enjoy it. Leave some feedback. Let us know what you think. And today I'll be joined by 2 good friends of mine who are, they themselves, self-confessed film fanatics, Neil and Andrew. So what happens when you put 3 film fanatics in a Zoom lobby? Yes, we speak for hours. But thankfully, it's been cut down to a more digestible length for the first podcast episode anyway. Regardless, guys, hope you enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Sit back, gather around the wireless, and enjoy. Right, so Neil and Andrew, over the past year, we've all been stuck at home and we've been watching plenty of television. Television and films, or at least I have anyway. That's how I've passed the time. So tell me, Neil, we'll start with you and then we'll move to Andrew. Neil, what have you been watching and what have you enjoyed and what haven't you enjoyed?
Well, last thing I watched was The Terror on BBC Two. Came out 2018, I think, on AMC in America. It's just been shown on the British television for the first time. About the 1845, I think it was, forgive me, that's wrong, Franklin Expedition, where a bunch of British sailors on 2 ships, The Terror and HMS Erebus, I think it was, went missing in the Arctic. They were searching for the Northwest Passage and they just went missing. No one found them, whatnot. And the story basically just follows what happened to them. It's actually based off a book by Dan Simmons called The Terror, and just follows their journey.
Right, so it was
Northwest Passage.
So it was broadcast originally in 2018
on AMC. Yeah, 2018. I think it was anyway.
So where did you watch it? Was it a rerun on television, or was it?
It wasn't a rerun. It was shown first on BBC. Sorry, not first, but was first shown on British television on the BBC. So I suppose it could technically be classed as a rerun if folk had already seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 10 episodes. Stars Jared Harris, who most folk would probably know from Chernobyl. Also has Kieran Hines, Tobias Menzies, Paul Reddy, Matthew McNulty, John Lynch, loads, sort of an all-star British cast.
So a good cast.
Yeah, good cast.
Is it a British production?
You know this, I think it must have some sort of British influence. So obviously it's all British actors, and I'm not sure if the crew were British or anything. But it's a horror series. It's kind of got dark themes in it. It's got cannibalism and stuff like that, and obviously supernatural elements as well.
Is there a lot of thrills and terrors? Is there a lot of jump scares, Neil? Because
To be honest, what I liked about it was there wasn't. Like I remember I'm going to need to watch it again because at the start there's so many characters at the start, and as each episode goes on, the cast becomes like less and less. As
yeah.
you can imagine, they all sort of get picked off, die of different circumstances and whatnot.
So how many
And
episodes were there?
there were 10 episodes.
Okay.
I think maybe 45 minutes to an hour long. Weren't that long.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's really, really atmospheric, intense, without like you think there's going to be jump scares in it, but there's really none. Maybe one or two little
Right.
startling moments, but
So
nothing.
you're the whole time you're watching, you're kind of like anticipating something's going to happen.
Yeah, which is why I want to watch it again because I think I missed like loads of dialogue bits because I was kind of like preparing myself to be.
Yeah.
You're watching it
Yeah.
through your fingers, like, oh, what the heck's going to
To be
happen?
honest, I don't mind watching it. It's the ears I sort of half cover.
Yeah. Neil was watching it, and then he thought the aspect ratio was different. Then he realized that it was his fingers he was watching.
Aye. But no, great acting as well. But just beautiful cinematography. I don't always like. I think it's a wee bit pretentious to be like, oh, the cinematography was
The
sublime.
mise en scene.
Yeah. Aye.
Yeah,
But
well,
in this one, it generally is.
I guess the sort of general audience, as all they're concerned with is it a good story? Is it gripping? Does it keep you coming back? And I guess that's the main question. Do you feel as though it did?
Aye. What are you going to say, sorry?
Sorry, did you feel as though it did those things? Did you feel as though you wanted to come back and watch each episode after the first one ended?
Aye, definitely. Although I think I maybe like watched 2 a week just because it was so intense and there is a lot to the story.
Yeah.
That I felt like it's not really one you want to binge because you would miss a lot of stuff, and it is almost quite exhausting, because you get attached to these characters, and then you're like, oh, this one's my favorite, then they'll get killed off. Then you're like, oh, now this one's my favorite, they'll get killed off. It's one
Very
of those
like,
programs.
Early Game of Thrones, then. We don't
Early
get too
Game of Thrones,
attached.
aye.
Yeah, Game of Thrones was one of those ones that, although you could binge some of the episodes and some of the scenes were quite dark and quite heavy, it took a lot out of you watching a lot of that in one go. It was quite an emotional roller coaster. You had to space it out. And
so it's interesting because I binged Game of Thrones when I first moved into my current home because we had no internet. So how did I pass the time? 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. So I binged it all. So I didn't really, I got the attachments, but not nearly as much as everyone who'd be watching it live over a couple of years.
And you done it the good old fashioned way, didn't you, with a DVD box set?
Yes, yeah, DVD box set before all this streaming stuff. It was the DVD box set.
Yes, the home media format. That will always be the best, in my opinion. But who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's going to happen with that? But yeah, Neil, I can see why. I mean, what the sort of the advertisements I've seen for the show and things that I'd heard people saying about it does sound like quite a tough show to watch in one go.
If I did have one criticism of it, would be there is a monster in it called the Toonback. I think it's Toonback. I've probably butchered that name, but it's certainly something like that. And it's kind of like an Inuit, not an Inuit, a spirit that sort of like comes from Inuit culture. That's, I think, was it like something to do with like air and sea and that. It's certainly like some sort of some sort of creature from an Inuit culture. And it's kind of like sort of like half man, half bear. If you've watched South Park, you'll probably think it's like Man Bear Pig or something like that. I've seen a few reviews saying it's Man Bear Pig. And I mean, it doesn't take anything from the show, but that's the one, like, funnily enough, it's the scenes where you don't see it that are scariest, but when you do see it, that's when it does kind of lose the tension a wee bit.
Yeah.
Because the scarier parts are actually the human elements. I won't get into too many spoilers, but there's like elements of cannibalism and stuff like that, and that's probably scarier than the sort of the monster.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I can think of a lot of horror films and TV shows that they build tension, and they're building this massive setup to this impending terror. If it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like a crazy killer, if it's supernatural, or doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes it's kind of a disappointment when you actually find out what this
Yeah.
threat actually looks like, what the form it actually takes looks like. But
No, I was thinking horror less is more, to be honest with you.
absolutely.
Subtlety is key.
Mhm.
That's sort of what I go by.
Yeah, what you don't see, and this is
Mhm.
something that I've always thought, what you don't see and what's implied is much more impactful than what you do see, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Aye.
Yeah,
Aye.
yeah.
Like it's not really relevant to the terror, but I remember when I was a kid and I was watching uh the original Oliver Twist film. Well, I don't know if it's the original, it's the one with Oliver Reed.
The musical. The musical?
I don't know, it's the one with Oliver Reed and who else is in it?
Don't know if I've seen that one.
I can't remember who
Can't
else is in it.
remember, but I think I know what you're talking about. Is
Oh,
it with
sorry.
Bill Sykes?
Yeah, it's Bill Sykes. I think it's Oliver Reed.
Yes.
Wait, is it the musical?
No, I don't. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Anyway,
All right, I
regardless,
think I have seen that. Yeah, from the 60s, was it?
that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the scene in it where Andrew knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think he does anyway. Oliver Reed as Sykes kills Nancy. I think
Mhm.
it's Nancy, his
Yes. Yeah.
sort of girlfriend, and it's sort of killed off screen, and you don't see it, thankfully, because obviously it's a kids' film after all, it's a family film. But I
Yeah, of course.
I remember as a kid that traumatized me to no end.
I think we watched that in school or something. Like, must have been like late primary school.
Yeah,
I
it was
remember. I
just
remember it had that sort of
Mhm.
effect. Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
terrifying to see. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I remember like going like falling onto your what you're talking about. So I remember watching Batman Return of the Joker, which is an animated film. And there were two versions of because there was a whole flashback to Joker's death. There were two versions of it. One which was the uncut and one which is the tame version. I actually thought the tame version was scarier
really.
because the real version, or like the original version, Joker gets shot, and yeah, he gets shot. There's a flag that comes out saying "bang," and
Aye.
that's kind of it. The tame version, he gets electrocuted off screen, and you hear him scream. And no, that's scarier for kids anyway. I think anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Was that Mark Hamill voicing Joker in that one?
yes, yeah, the best, the definitive.
Yeah, I've heard some of his work. I've heard some of his roles as Joker, and he's really good. Um,
Just gonna put it out there. I think this is a record time of what 20 minutes, and I'm already brought up Batman. So
Hmm.
that's a
yes,
record.
yes,
That's a record for me.
yes. I will now inform new listeners, newcomers to the channel, that Andrew is our resident Batman expert. You could even say he's my Alfred. Oh no,
I mean,
Neil's my
Oh,
no,
Alfred. Yeah,
oh, thank you.
yeah, Neil's your Alfred.
Andrew is
No, no, who's very intellectual?
Andrew's someone who's knowledgeable about DC Comics and just
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
Riddler, something like
yeah.
Yeah,
If
thanks.
that.
I'll
You
take
do
that.
look like a quite a. You remind me of the Riddler. I don't know what it is.
yes, for anyone who's wanting to
I'm sure that's a
visualize,
compliment, Neil.
anyone who's wanting to visualize what Andrew looks like, just imagine Riddler, not Jim Carrey's Riddler, but his own Riddler.
That's kind of
Or
the I was thinking of Jim Carrey's.
Yes, but anyway, sorry guys,
thanks,
we're
guys.
once again we've classically gone off at a tangent. But so anyway, Neil,
I mean,
sorry, Andrew, go on.
no, you guys go.
No, Neil, I was just going to bring it back to the terror, and I guess the
Mhm.
the one question that's on my mind is because I remember you telling me about the haunting at Bly Manor,
Oh yeah, that's another
and
thing I watched.
we'll talk about that in a minute. But I guess what I want to know is or was the terror as sort of not terrifying, but was it as sort of scary as haunting?
I'd actually say it was more. I found myself more nervous watching The Terror than Haunting.
Serious? Wow,
Yeah.
that's surprising to
Um,
hear.
even though there's like ghosts and stuff in Haunting of Bly Manor is a strange one. It's not even really a horror. I think they say it perfectly at the end. It's more a love story, actually, than a genuine horror. At first, you think it's a horror, and it does obviously have horror elements, but at the same time, it's not really. The first one, Haunting of Hill House, that was much more horror, and that was even then. I don't know. I think terror is generally scarier, and I think it's because it's got the more human element, even though there is a supernatural threat. I just think that watching these men sort of, because another thing about the terror is they were eating they had tin food in cans and whatnot,
Right.
and I think was it like lead poisoning they got from that. So a lot of them started deteriorating, going a wee bit crazy and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's just a slow descent into madness for a lot of them, and it sort of all comes to an end with like a mutiny and whatnot.
So is it fair to say, bear in mind I've not actually watched it yet, but is it fair to say that it's one of those TV shows, one of those pieces of media that sort of explores the whole mankind or humans are the real terror?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
one of
I'd
those
say
things?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plays
which
on
is another
paranoia.
reason. Yeah, which is exactly paranoia is a perfect word. Which is another reason why I wasn't so keen on the monster. I wouldn't say it ruins the experience,
Yeah.
but I do find it is the weaker part of it.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of films and TV shows that are sort of playing on that theme, that humans are, your fellow man, or they're the
I
real.
suppose Walking Dead's a good example, but personally,
Yeah,
I
The
don't think
Walking
they
Dead.
dealt with
Yeah.
it very well.
Yeah. That's.
I know Andrew's not
Twilight
seen Walking
Zone.
Dead, so we won't go into
No, not
too much
yet.
detail on it. Not yet.
It's
You got a lot of catching
one
up. I think
day.
it's on like
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say, Andrew, that's discussion for another episode of the
Oh
podcast.
God, could talk about Walking Dead for
Yes,
like
that.
ages.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys can. Well, you guys used to.
Yes. Well, we could
That was back
have.
when it was good, though.
Yeah. To be fair,
Ooh.
when Neil and I used to sort of ponder and pontificate about what might happen next, that was back when the show was still in a reasonable state. But I think it
Must
sort of.
see TV.
Sorry.
Must see
It
weekly
absolutely
TV.
was, Andrew. Yeah, it fell
Yeah,
into
it
that
was. I
category.
remember used to
Yeah.
really look forward to getting up to seeing it.
It was
Mhm.
almost, I wouldn't say it was quite in the same category in terms of quality and production value, but it was almost in the same category as Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad in terms of how
Mhm.
excited people were to watch it and the viewership,
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
I would say it peaked about 2016, 27, probably 2015, 2016. I would say it peaked. Would
yeah.
you
I'd
say?
say season 6 for me. Although I know people who were fed up by season 2.
Yeah. Well, we won't get into
Wow.
spoilers on this episode in case any of the listeners have yet to watch it, and for Andrew's sake, also Andrew's benefit,
Yeah.
we won't get into specifics. But what we will
Mhm.
say is, and I think it's fair to say, and Neil, you can maybe agree with this if you like, the show probably, I think viewers probably suffered from like show fatigue with The Walking Dead. It went on too long,
Yeah, I've been introduced to many
overstayed its
characters. I
welcome a
I
wee bit, I
think
think.
that's when it
Yeah.
started going downhill.
Yeah, because
Personally.
did it actually outrun the comics or the sort of the
No,
graphic
no,
novels?
they've not caught up to the comic. They've not even. I think bear in mind, I'm not even watching anymore. I stopped in season 8. At the end of season 8, I think they're on like the last few chapters or issues of the comic. I think anyway. I could be wrong on that,
Well,
but
the
I mean they've
next
definitely
season
not
less,
surpassed
isn't
it.
it?
Season 11, yeah, I think so. But they've sort of extended season 10. Like I think season 10 is just finished with 22 episodes, where it would normally be only 16. So I'm not quite sure why
Wow.
they decided then season 10, but I've stopped watching it anyway. Just got fed up with it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah, I think when a show goes on for, I don't know, maybe past season 7, that's when it's like, I loved it. I still do, but maybe it's time to wrap this up now.
yeah. Well, you think of all the goats, the greatest of all times. You think of all
Uh-huh.
the greatest TV. you name it. I would say the average run for the greatest would probably be 5 or 6 seasons. Sopranos, Breaking
Mhm.
Bad. There's some of the modern classics, but I suppose if you go further
Yeah.
back, even in my opinion, underappreciated show Boardwalk Empire. I don't think either
I've
of you have
not
seen
seen
that
it.
yet, but that
Not
was a
yet.
that was HBO as well, and a lot of the same production team from The Sopranos, and a lot of the same cast as well.
Mhm.
So that's really good if you eventually get the chance to watch it. But once again, we're going off the rails a wee bit.
Aye,
But
not
to
the
bring
way.
it back, so Neil, that's what you've been watching recently.
Yeah, I think you also said in your first question stuff I didn't like or watch when I was
Yeah,
watching it.
absolutely. So what did you watch and
To
what?
be honest with you, I don't think there's been much this year. I've not really watched a lot of new stuff, obviously because of COVID.
Yeah,
I think what did I? Umbrella Academy was fun to watch. That was really good though. Really
yeah.
enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you watched that as well, Andrew, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I enjoyed it more than season one.
Yeah, same. I did as well.
And
Maybe
when
it was
were?
the 60s. Sorry.
Sorry, guys, but when were you last at the cinema? No, that's a trick question. I guess
Oh
it
no,
was.
genuinely, the last time I was in the cinema was Wonder Woman 1984 before Christmas.
Oh wow!
Mine was Parasite.
Oh
Oh wow!
wow. Okay,
Parasite
so a bit
was
longer than me.
that was a
Long
long
time.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow! Fair enough. So Andrew,
Uh-huh.
what did you think of Wonder Woman 1984?
Well, right. It's one of these movies where the internet will tell you that it is the worst film
I
ever
saw
in
that. I was a bit confused.
existence. And honestly, I don't get it. I really enjoyed it. Maybe it's just because I missed the cinema experience. But
Yeah.
honest, and maybe just I'm already invested in the world. But honestly, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I noticed online that it was receiving a lot of criticism, and from the trailers and sort of what I'd seen of the film, I've not actually seen it yet, but
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
seemed as though the criticism was unfair. I mean, it seemed
it's
quite.
got its flaws. It does have its flaws, but honestly,
So does most superhero movies, to be honest.
yeah, exactly. I think just it was a film about optimism and about hope, which is a message that I wanted to hear,
Yeah.
and that's probably why I responded it well.
I guess the question I want to ask you, Andrew, is as our
Mhm.
resident sort of comic book expert, would you
Uh-huh.
say that would you say it's a fair argument to pose that perhaps Wonder Woman 1984 received such a big backlash because audiences, or the general audience, are kind of suffering from superhero movie fatigue, or would you say?
Um, I'm not sure. I think just mostly it came from the fact that the first film was so well received that anything that's a step down is treated as terrible.
Yeah.
That's just my view on it.
So you
Do
Others
you
reckon
may
that?
think? Sorry to interrupt. Do you think it's quite? There's almost a. I don't know if this is correct or anything, but do you think there's a bit of an agenda against DC films?
Sometimes
This
there can
almost seems
be.
popular to hate on DC. I don't know.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely it's not as bad as it was maybe about 2016 with the Zack
Yeah,
Snyder
of
movies.
course. Yeah,
Since then, I mean, I really enjoyed Aquaman. I
I really enjoyed
loved
it as well.
Shazam,
Yeah,
and
great
I
films.
enjoyed Birds of Prey. I enjoyed Wonder
I've seen it.
Woman.
And let's
Uh,
not forget the masterpiece, the one and only Joker.
To be fair,
uh,
I don't even
that's
count that
right.
in the. I count it in a
But yeah,
completely
it's its
separate
own thing.
category,
That
just because
almost
it
Yeah.
was that good.
exactly, Neil. That almost feels like if you took away all the references to Gotham and the Waynes and like that, it could
Mhm.
almost be its own film. It's
Yeah, and
almost
even
as if
then, it wasn't a lot of that at all, really.
no, I mean
No.
that's what
Like
I.
no CGI or anything, which was so refreshing, or at least I can remember.
Well, there would have been CGI, but not excessive amounts. I
Well, not
think.
yeah, like not like spaceships flying and gods and whatnot.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a totally different type of film to the
Yeah,
likes
yeah.
of Justice League or something like that. I think it's fair to
Yeah.
say that Joker. Uh, Again, I know it's sort of a contradiction saying this because it is a fantasy film at the end of the day, but I think it's fair to say that Joker was a wee bit more grounded in reality than a lot of the other
Mhm.
sort of comic book movies.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Definitely had
I
a sort
think
of. Sorry, Andrew, but it definitely had a sort of a New York early 1980s, late 70s feel. Taxi Driver and Mean
King of
Streets.
comedy.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I think the inspiration definitely came from there. Because was again, Andrew, I'll come to you with this, but was there anything? Because I'm a total noob when it comes to DC Comics.
Yeah.
I'm a novice. I don't know much of anything other than the basics.
That's
So
fine.
my question is, was there anything in that film that was true to the comics in terms of Joker's backstory or his origin story?
No. So basically, the whole thing about Joker is that he prefers his past to be of multiple choice. So it basically opens the creative freedom for anyone to come up with their own spin on his origin story, and it's not correct, nor is it false. It
Of
can just
course.
be its own thing
So that
because he's insane.
makes sense because when you look at it through Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and obviously you got Heath Ledger's outstanding performance. That's where the whole want to know why I got these scars. That's my Joker impression, everyone. Well, that's how. So that's where that comes from. So he changes his story every time. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So it came from a comic called The Killing Joke. So that comic proposes a backstory to the Joker where he has like he's a struggling comedian, which the Joker movie that took inspiration from. So he's a struggling comedian or struggling to earn money and provide for his wife, and basically it all goes downhill from there. But then later on in the comic, he says, if I were to have a past, I prefer it to be of multiple choice, basically proposing, oh, was that the real origin or was that all just his imagination?
So was it?
So it really.
Sorry to cut in there, but was there anywhere throughout the entire timeline of Joker's existence, way back to when Joker as a character was first created, right up to modern day, is there anywhere that says for definite, this is who the Joker is, this is where he came from? Or has it always been kind of ambiguous?
Honestly, it just depends on what your take is, because the whole thing with DC is that they have different universes. So in one universe it could be right, in one universe it could be wrong.
So it gets kind of confusing.
In the Tim Burton movie, his real name is Jack Napier, which some interpretations have taken on, others have decided, nah, he's something else.
Yeah. And in the Tim Burton one, he's more of a sort of a gangster type, isn't he? Rather than
back to his roots, because the Joker first started off as just a one-off character. He wasn't intended to come back, but he was so popular that they just decided to take him back.
That's crazy to think that it's crazy to think such an iconic character who's known the world over. Even you don't even have to be like a comic book fan or fan.
Yeah, to recognize the Joker.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So
you learn something new.
Exactly. I need to open my mind, expand my mind, and expose myself to more of this information. That's why I keep you around, Andrew.
Thanks.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
So back to the topic at hand. Neil, just to quickly summarize on that point, was there anything else? But sorry, we'll round this off with two quick fire questions, Neil.
Yeah, sure.
Your best TV show of 2020 and your worst TV show of 2020. And if I can go so far, your best film of 2020 and your worst film.
I need to try and remember. Because 2020 to me is just such a
it was such a blur. I mean, it's one of those things.
What was 2019, what was 2020?
Yeah.
It's all just folded into one.
It's one of those things.
Ozark was 2020, wasn't it?
Season 3 came out in March or April, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah. I think it has to be up there, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say Ozark. Umbrella Academy is a close second, I'd say.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've probably mostly just been watching Netflix shows. I don't I don't know if I've really been watching much else. Movie wise, really not a lot. Jojo Rabbit, was that 2020?
For us, it was.
Yeah, I'll put it up there. What was Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, that was
That was 2019.
All right, I might have seen it in 2020 though. I can't remember.
But you can put it as the worst of 2020 if
Well,
you
I'll
want
certainly just put
to.
it as a bad film. Certainly on that list.
Don't worry,
Jesus
Neil.
Christ.
This is an open forum for discussion regarding film. You're not going to be judged here.
Yeah,
Film and TV.
Aye.
Air your opinions openly. And we're back from that commercial break. Welcome back to the Real Chat. Thank you for listening. And once again, I'm joined with film aficionados, Andrew and Neil. And that commercial break was, of course, sponsored by Neil and his patented hair dye. I'm only joking, Neil.
It's glue I use.
Yes, indeed. I say that because your hair is looking very long. I see lockdown hasn't been kind to your hair.
Actually, on the contrary, I think it's done quite well.
Fair enough. Well, I wish I could say the same. I attempted to cut my own hair and it's never been the same.
No, it'll never be the same.
And that's a tip to you listeners. Don't attempt to cut your own hair. Just don't.
Let the professionals do it.
Yes, just don't even try it. Unless you're a trained hairdresser, a trained barber, or you know someone who is, then don't even try it. Just don't even bother. But
Nice words.
Indeed. But anyway, back to business. So, Andrew. Sorry, going back to Neil. Neil, what have you been watching? Sorry, I lost my place. Neil, my mind's all over the place. Seeing your hair is just throwing me off.
Thank you.
So, Neil, sorry, you were just wrapping up by saying a film and a TV show that you didn't like, but you said that you couldn't think of any.
I don't think it really was a TV show I didn't like last year. Film, I'd probably say Jojo Rabbit was probably my favorite film. I didn't see that many really.
Yeah.
And worst film, there's probably a few I forgot. But I'm just going to say Rise of Skywalker because I'm pretty sure I did see it in 2020.
If you forgot them, then let's face it, they weren't worth remembering after all.
Exactly.
There's definitely one or two I forgot. But tell you what, last film or one of the last ones I saw a few weeks ago was actually Cherry, Tom Holland's Cherry.
Oh, yeah.
I really didn't like it.
I heard terrible things about it.
I thought it was so pretentious, honestly. I couldn't stand it. It was like, it wasn't Tom Holland. Tom Holland's acting was great in it, but the story itself was just,
I heard it's the Russo brothers trying to be like, see, we can do different from the Avengers, but they're overdoing it.
Ooh, it's like this, and they do like break the fourth wall now and again with a piece to camera, and it'll be like the wine is red, like the color of blood. Blood reminds me of death, and yada yada. And it's like, oh.
So, guys, I'm embarrassed to admit I've not heard anything about this film. So, please clue me in. What's the story?
Tom Holland plays a army medic, or he was a high school or this girl, and like she was going off to another college or university somewhere else. So like they had a bit of a nasty breakup, and he's all like depressed and stuff. So he enlists in the army as an army medic, and it's one of these movies that sort of went over my head, so I zoned out a lot. So
basically, life
of the story here.
Life leads him to be a bank robber.
Wow. So was it
and like heroin addict and stuff like that?
So was it a Netflix production or was it just its own?
No, it was Apple, I think. Apple.
Yeah.
It might have originally been going to the cinema. And it was like 2.5 hours long. It was far too long.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bleak. And I've no problems with bleak films, but and the acting was great. I do feel sorry for the actors. I think in a better film they would have been nominated for the awards. Not that really means anything these days, but and just some of the shots though, like he'd be on the phone to his girlfriend and you know it's his girlfriend, but they'd still like show you an image of her and she'd be like covering her face and like with a backdrop of like New York or something or some city.
Right. So broken down.
Why?
So in a nutshell, good cast, but let down by a bad script and sort of.
Bad script, bad directing. Yeah, bad movie.
That's a pity.
It's a shame because I'm really.
Have you seen it, Andrew?
Well, I thought about it, but I heard some. I probably still will at some point.
Yeah,
but
just to make up your own mind, like.
yeah, it's one of these things. I'm rooting for Tom Holland because I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to get into that niche that Robert Pattinson and Daniel Radcliffe have kind of occupied, where he can split his time between blockbusters like Spider-Man and these indie dramas, and I'm really rooting for him. But it's just a shame when you hear that. Yeah, it's a shame when you hear stuff like that.
I didn't like them coming out when the movie, I think, was in production or something, or just finished, and they were saying, "Oh, his performance is Oscar worthy," And well, he didn't get nominated for anything, so what was the point of that,
Well, yeah.
So it might have been Oscar bait, or do you think it wasn't even good enough?
It's definitely Oscar bait. Yeah, I could within the first 4 minutes. Or probably even less than that. First scene, in fact, I was like, "Yeah, this is Oscar bait."
Yeah,
and it didn't do anything for me. I was bored watching it.
So avoid it.
There's a question.
Make up your own mind. This is just my opinion, but
there's a question I really want to ask, but I think it might be a bit too dirty for this.
Well, go ahead, Craig.
Andrew, I'm worried. Should I be worried? But let's.
There's a shot. There's like it looks like the camera's up Tom Holland's ass. Like he's getting a...
Yeah. I think if you've seen Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, it's a bit similar to that.
Oh well, nothing wrong with that. If he's got it, then just let him show it off.
Yeah.
Come on, Andrew, don't be jealous of the guy.
Again, not very memorable.
Maybe I am okay.
Yes, indeed. If Neil wants to watch that, then I just want to watch it too. So
each to their own.
Yes.
Only we all had that. But anyway, so that was a bit of a pooper for you then, Neil. So anything else?
Sorry. No, I can't think of anything. Anything else I've probably forgotten. But that's about it.
Cool. Andrew, my good friend, I've kept you quiet for too long, so let's hear it.
It's fine.
What have you been watching recently?
Well, the last year, I've been watching a lot of stuff that I've not seen before and using lockdown as a case of watching all the films that people have told you that you're not living unless you've watched.
Okay.
If you've got that, you've never seen this film, have you lived?
So let's hear some of the examples.
Sure. So a couple, back at the beginning of the year, I did a little Tom Hanks trilogy of Castaway, The Green Mile, and Forrest Gump. 3 films of his that I've never seen before.
Good films. Yeah.
Which a lot of people are really shocked that I'd never seen Forrest Gump. So that was quite funny.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Green Mile is quite a slow burn. It is a very good film
as well. I watched that not that long ago. I really enjoyed it.
Good film, good cast. Very good cast.
Not what I was expecting. I was expecting, honestly, I was actually expecting it to be quite scary just because it was Stephen King.
Yeah, it's one of Stephen King's tamer ones, if you want to call it that. It's obviously...
in a way. In a way.
Yeah.
And of course, it had a absolutely fantastic performance by the late, great Michael Clarke Duncan, which...
Yes, he was terrific in it. I was bawling my eyes out at the end. Or felt like it.
He was one of those guys taken too soon. He was in a lot of good films. A lot of very good films. He was well cast in that film because he was quite an imposing looking guy. But
but he's such a sweetheart.
Exactly. And it's also got a really good cast in it. It's got Sam Rockwell, right? And it's got
Sam Rockwell's probably my favorite actor at the minute, actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's been popping up quite a lot lately, wasn't he? Didn't he get an Oscar for 3 Billboards, or he was nominated?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I watched that film not that long ago for the 3rd time or something like that. Such a good film.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
It also had a lesser known actor, I think it's fair to say, Barry Pepper. He pops in.
Barry Pepper, know him, yeah.
Yeah, he pops up quite a lot in some Tom Hanks movies. He was also in Saving Private Ryan, and
was he in that one too?
Yeah, he plays very internet famous sniper in that film.
All right.
Yeah, it's really good.
Craig's the fact checker.
I don't need to check facts, Andrew. I've already seen the film.
It's all in here. It's all. Yeah. So yeah, I've been watching. Yeah, some Tom Hanks movies. The last film I watched was They Live, a John Carpenter film.
Oh, that's on Netflix. I was
It
debating
is.
watching. Is it any good?
Yeah, it is. Go in blind.
I don't
Because
know an awful lot about it.
Yeah, the only thing I knew about it beforehand, I remember talking to one of our mutual friends, and we were talking about our favorite film fight scenes.
Mhm.
And he sent me the scene in They Live where the two main characters' tensions rise and they just go at it.
All right.
And it just keeps going and going and going as they're kind of forgetting about the real problem at hand.
Mhm.
And
I might watch that tomorrow, actually, because it was on my list.
yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah,
Craig, have you
I'll
seen
check it
it?
out.
No, again, I'm ashamed to say it because I'm a big John Carpenter fan. I've never actually seen
Yeah, I
They
like his
Live.
stuff as well.
I've heard it's got a lot of social commentary in it about
It
consumerism and
does.
that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
definitely.
Yeah. And I'll have to give that a watch as well. Is it on currently on
It is
Netflix?
on. Yeah,
It's
it's
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's recently on. Just came on last week, I think.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
have
that's
to
why I
watch it.
watched it.
I'll have to watch it because anyone listening to this they'll soon come to know, as Andrew and Neil know. Certainly Andrew
Mhm.
knows. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, is my favorite ever horror film. It's absolutely
I've
fantastic.
not actually seen The Thing,
Oh,
Same.
Neil, come
but
on.
I will, because
Come
it's one of these ones I'm
on.
always waiting to come on Netflix. But the only one I get is like the 2011 one.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
To be
Is that
fair,
not good, Nat?
well, to be fair, it's actually a prequel. It's set
But
within,
I heard it's a
Oh,
prequel.
okay.
Yeah.
because what's great about it, and this, we'll have to be careful not to go into spoiler territory here, but the Thing, the original The Thing, which with Kurt Russell, opens with these two Norwegian scientists chasing a dog in the snow, and it's set in Antarctica, right? So they're chasing it, and it sets up this mystique. What's going on? If you've never seen the film, instantly you're thinking, so what's going on here? That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
So it opens with that, and later on in the film, it's sort of through one event and another, it sort of quickly becomes clear that something terrible happened at this Norwegian research base, and
Mhm.
that is the crux of the prequel. So the prequel's set at this Norwegian base, and it's sort of the events leading up to the original film. And to be fair, when it's compared to the original, of course it's nowhere near as good. But on its own, I don't think it's as bad as some people will make you believe, because it is satisfying. Once you've seen the original, I would say that watch the original first and then go and watch the prequel.
Does it ruin the
All right,
mystique,
yeah.
do you think? Or do you think it still works?
Well, possibly. I mean, it would be an interesting experiment to have someone watch the original first and then get someone else to watch the prequel first and compare their opinions. But certainly when I first watched the original, and I'll be honest here, I probably watched it when I shouldn't have, because I was of an age when I shouldn't have watched it. But I remember there was sequences in the film, and there was things that were set up in the film that weren't explained, and that's the thing, as an audience member, sometimes it's better to not have all the information spoon fed to you, and
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing in a film when not all the information is given and not all the facts are shown, because I think that a lot of audience members, and I'm trying to not be pretentious here when I'm saying this, but I think it's fair to say that audiences want to go home and be able to sleep after watching the film, especially if it's a horror film. And I don't mean that in terms of if they're scared. I mean it in terms of they want a bit of closure to the events of the film, right? So if the film's ending is ambiguous and it's not really concluded, then the audience member is going to go home and think and then sort of say, oh no, well, maybe this happened. What if this happened? Or why didn't this happen? classic example of this point that I'm trying to make is The Sopranos. The Sopranos ending is probably the most, or certainly one of the most controversial endings to a TV show in television history, right?
Until Game of Thrones, of course.
I would say even more so than Game of Thrones. This was back in 2007. It ended, right? So Sopranos ran 1999 to 2007, right? And it's hard to think now, but back when it was airing in America, and then when it was airing in the UK, The Sopranos was as big, if not bigger, than Game of Thrones. So you imagine all the hype, the buzz. And let's also remember that the internet wasn't really as big a thing back then as it is now.
Yeah.
So most of it was spread through, advertisement on the internet and TV, but also through word of mouth, So anyway, the ending of The Sopranos, again, with avoiding spoilers, because I don't think either of you have seen the show.
No, I've not seen it.
No.
Well, I implore you, please watch it at some point.
Yes.
It's fantastic. But anyway, the show ends, cuts to black, and it doesn't really get a conclusion, a firm, concrete conclusion, right? And I think that's why so many audience members, there was a backlash against the creators of the show. And there was a backlash against the writers saying, oh, well, what happened? And even, say, 13, 14 years after the finale, people are still, there's internet forums dedicated to, there's YouTube sites, there's YouTube videos dedicated to examining the final season of the show to try and determine what actually happened in the last episode. It's that much of a deal, So I guess what I'm trying to say is to bring it back to the thing, our original point. Sometimes it can work in the story's favor if it ends ambiguously, or if the story's ambiguous, but also it can work against it sometimes. So
I can see that.
In the case of The Thing, I think it's fair to say that a lot of fans of the film are in favor of the ambiguous nature of it. It's not entirely clear to the audience what the hell's going on. What is this creature that's sort of taking over and sort of taking the form of humans? What's going on? And the audience is put in the same position as the characters in the film. Kurt Russell and his fellow researchers have absolutely no clue what's going on. They've just went out of the frying pan and into the fire, right? And the film has an ambiguous ending that's one of the best I've ever seen. I'm not going to spoil it, and I'm not going to go on too much longer, Andrew, because I've kind of hijacked the point here a wee bit.
No, it's fine.
Please go out and watch it.
Okay.
And anyone listening who's not seen it, go and find yourself a copy of The Thing, watch it, experience it, feel it.
And don't subscribe until you have. No. Actually, just subscribe, please. Subscribe.
Yes, indeed. Subscribe and listen to The Thing, but watch The Thing first. That's more important than this. So anyway, Neil, I would say, or I've kind of forgotten who raised the point, if it was Neil or Andrew, but Andrew, watch the original first and then the prequel.
Right. Okay.
Same goes to you, Neil.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, maybe I did say that. I can't remember.
Who knows, listeners?
But no, The Thing is definitely something to look out.
The listeners have no idea what's going on, neither do we. So let's just face it.
Hey, so it's all good, right?
Yeah, this is art imitating life, just like the characters in that film, The Thing. They had no idea what was going on. We have no idea what's going on. Who are we? Where are we going? And what are we doing? So anyway, back to the point. Neil, Andrew. Andrew, you were saying.
Yes.
You've been watching.
Lots of stuff. No, lots of films. Definitely. So like Tom Hanks movies, the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy, which I really enjoyed.
Right.
I've definitely got a whole list of things that I seem to want to watch as well. Films that I've never seen that are going to shock a lot of people, which I can't wait for.
Oh no. Get your pitchforks ready, folks.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I'm sharpening mine as I speak. I am getting my pitchfork and my torch ready. Andrew, tell us some of these films.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear.
Oh, really? All right, okay. So I plan on watching the RoboCop trilogy at some
No, I've
point
never seen it either.
because I've only seen the remake from 2014.
Okay.
The Godfather trilogy, which I
Oh my
plan to watch
god.
at some point.
To be
Yeah,
honest, I've
Oh
never
my.
seen
there we go.
Godfather either.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, right. Here's I think this might be a shocker. I'm not sure, but the Jurassic Park films.
Really?
I've never seen them.
Wow. That is shocking.
That is quite a shocker, actually.
Yeah. To be fair, that's more of a shock than not seeing the Godfather trilogy, because
I'd say so.
the Godfather trilogy is a classic, but it
Yeah.
is. You have to dedicate a lot of time to watching those films
It's
because
probably
they're
an
quite
acquired
long.
taste as well, is it?
Well,
Yeah,
it can be. Yeah, I would say you have to really be in the mood for Godfather, the Godfather
Yeah.
trilogy. Whereas the Jurassic Park is an easier to watch film.
Yeah, just sort of
So
chill
Yeah.
out.
yeah, it's quite a surprise you've never seen it, the original.
I know,
Anyway,
I'm quite amazed,
Yeah.
actually.
Wow,
oh well.
you should be
Yes.
caged to like one of those dinosaurs.
So you're missing out on some good Goldblum.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
send you.
that's the thing.
I'm gonna send you to Isla Nublar, whatever that island's called. I'm gonna send you there.
I would know because I've not seen it.
As well.
I think it's Island New Blood or something like that.
I think it is. Yeah. Regardless, Andrew. So you've not seen Jurassic Park, Godfather, RoboCop.
Nope.
What else?
RoboCop. What else am I not saying actually that I plan to? Basically, for Christmas, I got 1001 films to watch before you die. So
yeah.
I'm kind of checking those off. So things like, well, the Rocky franchise. That's another one I've not seen.
I've not seen that either.
Wow.
Okay. See,
Okay.
that we have things
I
in
know.
common.
It's just
Okay. To be fair, Rocky is again. There are 6 or 7 films, I think, in that franchise.
There are 6 Rocky movies and 2 Creed films. I've seen the Creed films.
Yeah. Well, I still remember going to the cinema to see Rocky Balboa in 2005 or 6, I think it was.
I think it was 2006
Wow.
that came out.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I remember at the time thinking, wow, Sylvester Stallone looks so old. But to be fair, I think he actually looks better now than he did back then. I don't know what's going on there, but
I mean, hey, he's still he was still Rambo.
oh, he's still hench. He's still muscly as hell, man.
Yes.
I can only hope to look as good as that when I'm his age.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
And he was in the Expendable movies as well, which were,
Oh yeah, he was.
let's face it, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they're a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah.
I've seen the
Okay.
first 2.
I've seen all 3 of them. Well, I remember not really liking the third film that much.
Chuck Norris,
but
I think, was in the third one.
He was
I
in the
think he was in
second
the
one.
second
Oh,
one.
second one. Sorry,
Yeah.
right.
I had
Okay.
fun with the second one.
I just
Third
thought the first one was the best.
Yeah.
Just a good, enjoyable action film.
I think I went in to see
Yeah.
this. Went in to see the second one in the cinema. I don't know if I've seen the third one, to be honest with you, but certainly the first and second are guilty pleasures. Then let's
Yeah.
face it, they're cheeseball popcorn movies. But the reason,
mindless action, but you can enjoy
the
it.
reason
Sometimes you need that, right?
you need
Aye,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, come on, film has to be fun and enjoyable as well.
Well, yeah, it can't all be dramatic and
But yeah, fair enough. So, Andrew, do us a favor.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell us any more of
Yes.
your list because we don't want to lose any listeners. No,
That's true.
I'm
That's
only
true.
kidding. I'm only kidding. But you make sure you work through that list, and I've actually
Oh
got
yeah, definitely.
I've got one of those books myself, 1001 movies. I think
Yeah,
it was
that's
one of it was probably published a few years ago now, so it's not the updated one. But
Yeah, I have the updated one that has Joker on the front cover.
sure, sure. I think mine had. I think it might have had Robert De Niro. I can't remember. Can't remember what film it was, but it certainly had Robert De Niro on the cover. Uh, who knows? But yeah, they are good
Yeah,
sort of reference books to have, sort of just to check them
yeah.
off. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fair enough. So, Andrew, best film and best TV show of 2020 and worst of both.
Okay. Are we talking about new films or are we talking about films that we've not seen before?
No, I would say released between. I'd say released in 2020. It doesn't have to have been made
Okay.
in 2020, as long as it was like broadcast in 2020, or as long as you'd
Hmm.
seen it and it had recently been made. We'll just say
Okay.
because Neil did say Rise of Skywalker, and that wasn't really
Yeah.
released in
And
2020.
I also said Cherry, which was released just like last month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Naughty. Yes, fair enough.
Well, the funny thing is, right, when I went, so the first film of last year that I saw was Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah,
And I came out of that film saying, oh my goodness, what a film. That's the top film. That's the film to beat for the rest of the year. Not realizing there wouldn't be much films for the rest of the year. But then the next film I watched, about a week after, was 1917. And that completely blew me out in the water. Sure.
wow.
So yeah, 19.
To be honest, I didn't care for 1917 that much.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, like it was still good, but
Hmm.
I didn't come out of it thinking, "My God, that is great."
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
I don't know.
personal preference, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I know some people that weren't interested in 1917. They want to see the funny war movie Jojo Rabbits. Which yeah, okay, I can see. I
But
can see
George
that.
Rabbit wasn't exactly a bundle of laughs either, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like it had its really heartfelt moments and sort of
Mm,
tear-jerking moments.
yeah.
The one in particular, which I won't spoil, because it
Mm.
really took me aback.
I same. I didn't see it coming. I should have, but I don't know. I
Yeah, it's
went
one of
in.
these films where like you should have seen it coming because they
Yeah.
built it up so well, but just in that moment,
Mm.
you just don't know what to think, what to process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was a real surprise. I didn't really know what to think of it going in, but coming out, you
Mhm.
know, no, definitely up there with one of the best of the year.
Hmm.
Yeah, in terms of worse, I don't know. I don't think I saw a bad film. Like of all the films that I saw, I don't think I
Wow.
saw a bad film 2020.
Fair enough. So it's been a good year for you then, Andrew. Yeah, it's been a good
Yeah.
year for content in general, I guess. I don't know. I think.
Hmm. I think recently a film I didn't like was a Netflix film called Malcolm and Marie. I wasn't really into that.
Okay.
I felt it was a bit too. I understood what it was trying to go for, especially the fact that it was filmed during the pandemic. I thought that was really impressive. I
Right.
just felt for me it was a bit too repetitive. The couple argue, they make up, they have a monologue, then they argue again,
Yeah.
and then they make up and they argue again for an hour and a half. For like, geez, this would be a great short film, but an hour and a half film, I'm bored. I'm sick of it now.
Yeah. Well, there probably has been a lull period in sort of new content being produced just because obviously over with the COVID-19 situation, there was a lot of production companies halting production, obviously, uh,
Yeah.
just as a result of the pandemic. So I think there'll be a
Mhm.
lot of shows playing catch up. You know,
Mhm.
I noticed the other
Mhm.
day that Witcher season 2 has just finished
Oh yeah,
filming.
I saw that.
Yes. Yeah.
So hopefully we can expect that. It might be cutting it too close, but hopefully we can expect that in sort of the final quarter of the year.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that would be good.
October, November, one of those.
To be honest, yeah, to be honest, I'm just gonna take it as it comes when it comes to films and TV shows, just seeing what's out and not really anticipating just because I don't want to get excited for something that I know that might get pushed back.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I want
it's
to make
like
sure.
the classic example, and this will probably be remembered for a while,
Uh-huh.
is um, No Time to Die. The
Yes,
James
yeah,
Bond film. That must have
yeah.
been delayed about 4 or 5 times by now,
That
right?
was the first film to be delayed. That was the first major film, and
Yeah.
then it just kept getting delayed and delayed. Oh, I've got a timer again.
Uh,
I mean, I'll see it at some point. Don't know when, but at some point.
yeah, who knows? It'll certainly come out. I mean, didn't they slot it in? They've sort of given it a preliminary released window of
Mhm.
the latter half of this year. Is that
I
right?
think it's
Yeah.
Or
November, yeah.
Honestly, at this stage, I think they should just push it back to next year and bill it as the 60th anniversary
yeah,
movie, like Skyfall was the 50th.
they should just. I think they should just delay it. But uh, I think the hard truth is that because there's been so much hype around the film, and there's been so much
Mhm.
controversy around the film, because obviously initially Danny Boyle was signed on to direct it, and then
Mhm.
that fell through because there was disagreements there.
Yeah.
And then initially, prior to production, didn't Daniel Craig even say that he wasn't wanting to come back to reprise his role as Bond? But
I think it was more Spectre. I think he had just finished Spectre.
all right, so
So
he was
people
kind
were
of
asking him, yeah, he was burnt out, and
yeah,
people were asking him, like, so when's the next one? And he just kind of like, guys, I just want a break.
yeah. It's unfortunate because even if the film is good and it can stand on its own merit, I think
Mhm.
because there has been so much press and media around the film, I think it's
Mhm.
almost set up to receive criticism anyway because there's so much hype, and that's the thing with films nowadays. With a lot of films,
Yeah.
there's so much hype built and established
Mhm.
around
Mhm.
so many films uh,
Yeah.
that expectations are set so high that
Mhm.
the majority of audience members, I mean, you guys know, we all know listeners because Andrew, Neil, and myself, we've all dabbled in filmmaking in the
Mhm.
past, and we know uh, it's impossible to please everyone. You
Yeah,
can't.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
It's if someone could name a film that pleases absolutely everyone that goes to see it, then I would be amazed. I think you'd be hard
Yeah.
pushed.
Oh, I
Honestly, I
definitely.
think you'd be hard pushed to find a film that everyone can agree on. Because
Yeah, even like
Mm.
critically acclaimed ones, someone will find something wrong with it.
well, exactly. I
Oh yeah.
mean, it's like who's I speaking to recently? I can't remember who it was, but I was speaking to another friend of mine recently who was saying that they watched Gladiator, and
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Gladiator is considered by many to be, I would say, a modern classic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Um,
it's fair.
uh, Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe in
Mhm.
his prime,
Yep.
uh,
Joaquin Phoenix.
and it cleared out the Oscars as well. Was it
It did,
2000,
yeah.
2000 or
Yes.
1999? I think it was 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Between 2000 and 2001, I think.
yeah. Well, regardless, so I asked my friend. I said to him, "Well, what did you think of this film? Gladiator is certainly in my top 20 films of all time, if not my
Uh-huh.
top 10, right?"
Yeah.
And he said that he was kind of bored by it and it didn't really
Mhm.
interest him. So, I use that as an example, but it
Mhm.
could extend to more accessible films than Gladiator. It could extend to any
Yeah.
film, really. Uh, so I think that No Time to Die is going to be one of those films that it has had so much hype established around it that it's impossible that it's ever going to meet all of our expectations. So
That and also the fact that this is the first Bond film that we know is going to be the actor's last one. Every other Bond film, they leave after the film. This is the first one that we know that this is going to be the ending of
yeah,
Daniel Craig. I think there's that, and also the fact that people are already looking at who's going to be the next one. And like, okay, I want to focus on this film first before we talk about the next one. Because that
yeah,
was the problem. That's why Daniel Craig got burnt out.
yeah. I think that's a good point, Andrew, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time looking down the road and they miss what's right in front of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes. you could use the Star Wars franchise as an example. You know, when in the run up to Last Jedi, there was, I can't remember if it was before the film released, if it was after, that Disney released that sort of roadmap, or they released
Yeah.
information saying, right, there's going to be a Star Wars film every year. You
All
know,
right, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
so all of a sudden, there's all this attention and media frenzy, and you know, Star Wars fandom is a hot potato anyway. I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, one of the
Yep.
most divisive fandoms out there.
you know,
Yeah.
speaking as a self-identified passionate Star Wars fan myself, I know and understand that Star Wars fandom can be a sticky place. You know,
Yeah.
so anyway, they released that sort of time frame and they released that plan. I think
Yeah.
there was so much fatigue and people were sick of hearing about it and sick of arguing about it that
Mhm.
when Last Jedi was released, people kind of, a lot of fans kind of had a sour taste left in their mouth because of that film. Anyway,
See, I think it's Solo that I mean, like, okay, The Last Jedi is divisive, but when Solo came out, Solo was the first
yeah,
Star Wars bomb.
exactly. But that's what
I
I was
never
leading
saw
into.
Solo.
That's what I was leading into, Andrew.
Mhm.
That people had already kind of, like I say, sour taste left in their mouth after Last Jedi. That film caused so much division
Mhm.
in the fandom that by the time the Solo movie came out, I think Star Wars fans, regardless of which side of the fence they sat on, whether they loved The Last Jedi or whether they hated it, were kind of just took a step back and sort of started thinking, is Disney going in the right direction with Star Wars? You know,
Mm.
is a Star Wars film a year, every year going forward for the foreseeable future? Is that really a good idea?
I
And
personally think Star Wars is a victim of its own success, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
well, yeah, I think it's one of those things because I think Disney kind of realized what they'd done. They kind of realized, oh no, we've shot ourselves in the foot here. So they kind of doubled back on that, and they kind of
Yeah.
said, right, okay, we understand there's too much Star Wars. We need to focus. We need to focus on quality over quantity. I think it's fair to say, yeah. And you know what, you're right, Neil, because you know we don't want to make this a Star Wars discussion, a Star Wars debate. That's a topic for
That's
another
another
episode.
time.
Aye, we can
Yeah.
certainly cover a video on that, definitely.
Make that
Yeah.
our right, listeners. I'm telling it now. We'll make that our May the 4th episode.
There you go.
Yes.
That'll be we'll have to get our friend Grant on for that one, and
That'll be like 3 hours, to be honest. That'll be as long as the Rise of Skywalker was, or at least how long it felt.
yeah,
God.
and it'll be probably
Don't
just
remind
as
me.
divisive as well. But anyway, regardless, I think just rounding off the Star Wars point is I think in recent years a lot of fans, myself included to a certain extent, have come to appreciate George Lucas much more than they did at the time of the prequels. You know, because when the prequels were released, in particular after The Phantom Menace, a lot of fans were turned off of George Lucas and they accused him of
Mhm.
sort of destroying their childhoods and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I think a lot of people sort of regret the way George Lucas was treated because they kind of use that as the reason, one of the reasons why, possible reasons why he sold Star Wars and why he sold Lucasfilm, to sort of distance himself from it a wee bit and say, you know what, my time with this has come to a close for now, you know. But then to the flip side of that point as well, I read an interesting article the other day that George Lucas actually originally planned for a 9-film saga anyway, regardless, even back when he was writing his original treatments.
Oh,
And we're back. Sorry, listeners, we are at the mercy of technology. But just to wrap up that quick point about Star Wars, going back to what I was saying, when George Lucas originally wrote the treatment for Star Wars, it was actually called a A Journal of the Wills, Star Wars. I don't know if you've heard about this, but
Yeah, I have.
originally the whole premise of Star Wars was going to be that there was these far-off deities, like godlike entities called the Wills, that were watching the events of, well, the Skywalkers. They were watching the Skywalkers and their story play out through some sort of galactic sort of. Just imagine a galactic television they were watching this all on.
Alright.
And that's why the film starts with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, because the Wills, these godlike creatures, were supposed to be watching all of this happening, even though it happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to think about, given what we actually got in the films. But
Yeah. A
Go on.
New Hope was pretty much saved in the edit, though, wasn't it? Like, apparently, nothing really went to plan, but the edit really saved it and really brought the film to what it is known as now.
yeah, exactly. It's a wonderful thing. But as we say, listeners, stay tuned for that Star Wars themed podcast episode that will be May the 4th. I'm saying it now, Neil, Andrew. I don't care if you're busy. I don't care if life gets in the way. I do not care if you are
I'll
no
pencil
longer
it
on
in my
this
diary.
planet.
Yeah, I should pencil my diary as well.
Put it in your diary. I do not care if you no longer exist. You are going to be there.
We'll be a force ghost if we're dead by then. We'll be a
Use the
force
force,
ghost.
Luke.
Excuse
Use
me.
the force. The force? Use the force. Anyway, guys, back to the topic at hand. We're running on a bit here, so let's just wrap up this first episode by saying we'll go through each one of us. And I just realized I never mentioned what I've been watching recently, but I'll just
Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's part
yeah,
two.
who cares? Who cares? No one cares. We're all here at the real chat to hear what Andrew and Neil have to say. Guys, I won't keep you long, but I'll just briefly touch upon mine, because I'm sure I'll elaborate upon these in future episodes. But recently, over the past year, standout shows that I've been watching, shows that I absolutely loved. The Expanse, Amazon Prime's The Expanse. That is fantastic sci-fi show, adapted from a series of books, and it is fantastic. I believe it was originally shown on the Sci-Fi Channel, and then the Sci-Fi Channel actually axed the show. I think they cancelled it. But then I think Jeff Bezos was such a big fan of the show that Amazon actually purchased the show, and then Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime now. And so I was watching that at the start of the year. That was fantastic. What else? Ozark season 3. That was amazing. Yeah. That's another show fantastic crime thriller. Jason Bateman plays that part really well. Laura Linney, absolutely. She plays that part fantastically. There was also another actor in season 3. I can't remember his name. Neil, you'll know who I'm talking about. He played Laura Linney's character, the brother.
What's his name? Is it Tom someone?
His name slips my mind, unfortunately, just now. But please, this actor does a fantastic job in the show. So watch it, experience it. Ozark, fantastic show. And as for films, I'm ashamed to say I haven't really watched any new films recently. I've just been indulging in the old classics. What did I watch recently?
Tom Pelfrey, I think was his name.
Tom
Pelfrey.
Right, folks.
Yeah,
look him up.
I think that I've possibly butchered his name, but it looks like that.
Fair enough. Well, folks, look him up. He's fantastic. But anyway, yeah, sorry. So just been revisiting old classics, like a comedy film that I love watching and I can watch and I'll never get sick of, because it stars the comedy genius and the absolutely versatile actor Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire. That's a fantastic film that I can always watch. It's one of those films that is on the television quite a lot. It's broadcast quite a lot, but it's a film I'll never get sick of, and it always puts a smile on my face.
Just like everything with Robin Williams.
Absolutely. And, as I say, he is such a versatile actor. I mean, he could do comedy, he could do thriller, he could do, I don't know if was he in any horror films, but regardless, he could play anything. I mean, if he won an Oscar for Good Will Hunting, and he
Yeah.
was bone-chillingly terrifying in 1 Hour Photo. That's a really creepy film. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
I've never seen it, but I'll
I don't
keep
think
an eye out
so.
for it.
he plays
Yeah.
a really unsettling character in that film that becomes like he works as a sort of guy who develops photos, and he becomes obsessed with this family that he's been developing photos for. He becomes obsessed with them and sort of like stalks them, and it's really unnerving, unsettling, but totally watch if you get a chance.
We'll check
Okay.
it out.
Yeah.
Apart from that, nothing else really. But so guys, quickly, you get
Uh-huh.
max 1 minute each. Okay, so
Right.
you're under
On a
pressure here.
timer.
Yeah, you're under pressure here. What are you looking forward to this year in terms of TV and film? One choice each. Go.
I'll start. For film, to be honest, Suicide Squad.
I was
Okay.
going to say Suicide Squad as well.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
TV, I'm not even really sure what's coming out this year, to be honest with you.
I just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Same. I mean, if The Witcher's coming out at the end of the year, then that. Ozark season 4, I'm not sure when that's going to come out. Same as Stranger Things. But any of these sort of
Probably all
Netflix
next year.
originals.
Yeah.
I mean, Ozark did skip a season anyway in 2019. I think it skipped a season.
Aye.
Well, not skipped a
So,
season,
yeah,
but it
it'll
skipped a
probably be
year. I
next year,
mean,
won't it,
yeah.
Ozark? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. And Andrew?
Yeah, the Suicide Squad, because to be honest, that's the only film apart from If No Time to Die comes out this year.
If, yes.
I know is coming this year.
Who knows?
I really hope so. I really
Yeah.
hope so.
Good choices, guys. Well, I would say for me, it would probably be Witcher season 2. Yeah.
Yeah, if it comes out this year, I definitely.
If that comes out this year again, this is all speculation. There's no guarantee because of the impact of COVID. But assuming everything sort of manages to come out this year, that's slotted for this year, then great. But yeah, Witcher 2, because I watched the first season, I binged that over 2 days at the start of January, and it was fantastic. Inspired me to buy the books, but I've not read them yet.
We'll get there at some point.
Exactly. They're on the bookshelf, and they're constantly luring me towards them, so I'll get to them at some point. But anyway, guys, Andrew, Neil, thank you for joining me today in the first episode. The christening of this channel, we'll say.
Yeah.
Oh no,
The pilot.
The pilot episode. That's better.
Yeah.
We'll go for. Thank you for joining me on the pilot episode of.
Thanks for having me.
Real Chat
no
podcast.
problem.
Yep. And this has been a Real Chat production. Welcome to the channel. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Get the word out. Real Chat is here and here to stay. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, next time, guys, there'll be more of a theme. We'll think of a theme. Andrew and Neil might be here. Hopefully, if you like them. If you don't, then send a message.
Wow.
And if you don't like me, then tough. But
got no one else.
Anyway,
no one else returned your calls.
Yes, exactly, Neil. But anyway, take care, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Remember, be part of the Real Chat. Do. Good night, guys.
Right, see you later.